Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, we're going to be talking about the past, present, and future of Grand Theft Auto Online. So it's pretty rare that someone from Rockstar talks to members of the media. Well, today they've done that. An article on Game Informer came out where basically they did an interview with Rockstar's director of design, Imran Sarwar, about Grand Theft Auto 5, GTA Online. They talk about the real reason why single-player DLC was never a thing, some online DLCs, how they're going to work in the future, and their response to shark cards. It's a pretty interesting article. Now, I am going to be leaving some of it out of this video, number one, to conserve a little bit of time, but number two, because I don't think it's the main bullet points of the article, but I will leave a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, as it's a really interesting article, and he reveals a lot about online and Rockstar and so much more. So this was the first question. It was, over the last 4 years, GTA Online has grown in so many directions that it services a lot of different playstyles, from cooperative heist and illicit business ventures to competitive multiplayer and racing. Since its launch in 2013, how much of the content was pre-planned as a part of the grand vision, and how much was determined by examining how players were engaging with the game? So the big thing I got out of this is he stated, we had discussed the idea of doing heists and other more structured content, but our initial attempts at them were not very good. To be totally honest, it did not begin very well at all. The launch was rocky, which we expected, but perhaps worse than we expected, and one of the first big innovations we had promised heists were not looking like they would live up to our own standards, and we had completely redesigned them from scratch, delaying them several times as we started and restarted various attempts to make them good enough. GTA Online was slowly failing and quickly losing players right up until the middle of 2014. The updates were not interesting enough, and as a company, we did not realize how challenging it was going to have a team that essentially ran a content service, not make normal games. So that's interesting right there, that they thought the updates that like the Beach Bum and the Valentine's Day stuff and the business update and the High Life update weren't good enough. And that also gives us an insight of why Heist maybe took so long. It's not that they were just, fiddling around with them. They literally couldn't figure out how to make them good enough, which is kind of interesting. He states, heists were the turnaround. Along with its improvements in the game's core stability, they were a huge hit and gave us an understanding of the kind of complex missions that were possible. He goes on to say businesses would cater to traditional GTA players, but build on the cooperative mission gameplay we use for heist. Bikers and lowriders gave something to those who wanted to fully immerse themselves in the fiction of the world. The more comfortable we were pushing beyond the traditional GTA concepts and experimenting more freely. And this is where things kind of get interesting, as they state the more comfortable they were able to get, the more freely they were able to introduce things like cunning stunts and the power play adversary mode and tiny racers or slasher, more of the wacky and crazy things that we see right now. And he ends that question by saying, given all the effort that's gone into the game in the past 4 years, it's one of our biggest regrets that we lost millions of players in that first year that have never experienced how much we have improved and added to the game since its early days. And that's true. Grand Theft Auto Online on day one as compared to now is like a completely different game. Like you almost probably wouldn't even recognize it, which is pretty interesting. So that's a good idea of how Rockstar was maybe struggling at first and how they kind of found their way and now are updating the game as we see it at today. All right, so now we get some interesting information on the single-player aspect of the game. So this was the question that was, with both Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption, Rockstar made excellent dedicated single-player campaign-style expansions in episodes from Liberty City and Undead Nightmare. Grand Theft Auto Online has integrated narrative elements to setting up criminal enterprises, but most of the tales generated from online are more emergent in nature. Was it a tough call to move away from more scripted experiences, or do you view this as a natural evolution of open world design towards giving players more agency over their play experience? And this is what he said. No, it was not really a conscious decision. It's just what happened. We would love to do more single-player add-ons for games in the future. As a company, we love single-player more than anything and believe in it absolutely for storytelling and a sense of immersion in a world. Multiplayer games don't rival single-player games. With Grand Theft Auto 5, the single-player game was absolutely massive and very, very complete. It was 3 games in one. The next-gen versions took a year of everyone's time to get right. Then online component had a lot of potential, but to come close to realizing that potential also sucked up a lot of resources. Then there are other games, in particular Red Dead Redemption 2. The combination of these 3 factors means for this game, we did not feel single-player expansions were either possible or necessary, but we may well do them for future projects. At Rockstar, we will always have bandwidth issues because we are perfectionists, and to make huge complex games takes a lot of time and resources. Not everything is possible, but we still love single-player open-world games more than anything. I don't think you could make a game like GTA 5 if you did not like single-player games and are trying to expand their possibilities. So, the things I got out of this is single-player DLC didn't happen because everyone just kind of said, okay, this isn't happening. And it was a combination of a couple factors. Number one, they thought the game was complete, which I guess does make sense because Grand Theft Auto 5 features 3 main characters, whereas Grand Theft Auto 4's 3 updates combine to equal 3 main characters too: Luis Lopez, Johnny Klebitz, and of course, Nico Bellic. So that makes sense right there. Maybe they thought Grand Theft Auto 5 was complete in its package. They also said online took up a lot, building the next generation version of the game, working on Red Dead Redemption 2. So all of that makes sense. The success of online, working on other games, and the fact that GTA 5 just didn't need any more expansion, that right there is the real reason. And they state that it just kind of happened. There wasn't like line in the sand that says, we're not making a single player update or anything like that. To me, it seems like it just sort of happened. Now, building off of that, this next question was, how does your design approach change when you must constantly factor in cooperative and adversarial play as opposed to creating single player experiences? He states there's a technical challenge simply because the number of variables increases exponentially, especially when you're dealing with a cooperative experience on the same level as a single player game. This was one of the reasons heists were so initially difficult to get right. Every player had to feel like they were having a unique experience inside the overall mission, rather than just feeling like you're a backup gunner along for the ride. And then they mentioned adversary modes, everyone's favorites. They say are a lot of fun to design because you're dialing back the scripted experience in favor of literal games. We take our inspirations from all different kinds of places, from traditional shooter games to American football to darts. So again, they give more insight on why Heist took so long and also how they come up with the adversary modes, which is kind of true. I think they do just take inspiration from a bunch of real life things and kind of build them into the modes themselves. This next question was, one of my favorite things to do in Grand Theft Auto Online is to check out the clothes other players are wearing. The myriad of fashion options for self-expression are deeper than any other game, and Rockstar continues to expand this with each content expansion. Do you have a dedicated team that consistently works on new fashion offerings, or does it happen more organically? And he states, it's a bit of both. We have a team that is constantly researching and designing new clothing for all of our games. For Grand Theft Auto Online, that means being consistently on the lookout for appropriate clothes from specific subcultures or the latest fashion trends. We try to ensure there's an even balance of male and female clothing options with every update. Okay, 2 things here. That's awesome. Give us more clothing options and take away the restrictions on clothes. I think we should be able to do more things with the awesome articles of clothing in the game. We should have more outfit slots too. I'm tired of overriding all my outfits. All right, and the last 2 questions that they asked are probably some of the most interesting. This first one was, Rockstar made the conscious decision to not charge players for large content drops like gun running, import-export, finance, and felony, yet we still see criticisms that too much of the new content in online is aimed towards high rollers who either spend hundreds of hours in the game or invest in shark cards. What is your response to these complaints? So the first paragraph is basically him explaining that Grand Theft Auto has evolved to build itself to be a better experience. But he states, with GTA Online, we decided to give our players access to all updates for free because it kept our players together and allows us to make their own choices about what they want from each update and in what order. Everyone has access to everything, and no one is forced to pay a lump sum for items they may not want or need. With both GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption, we sold DLC, and unfortunately both times it fractured the audience and helped kill the games much faster than they deserved. With Grand Theft Auto Online, if there's content people don't like or want, they can simply ignore it and do something else while still being in the same core world as everyone else. For us, this model works and has let us keep expanding the experience. Given the huge amount of stuff we have given for absolutely free, including heists and all the modes and all the clothing, which costs almost nothing, I really don't think we can be accused of gouging the player base. People can happily play and never spend $1 aside from buying the game. Okay, so I don't know how I feel about that. Is he technically right? Absolutely. You don't have to buy shark cards in online. It's a completely optional experience, and you can still play with your friends and everything like that. Are heists free? Yes. Are the adversary modes free? But when he says something like, and all the clothes, which costs almost nothing, That's not really true. The deadline suits are $200,000 each. Most jackets alone cost $15,000 or $20,000. If you want to build and create outfits, that really does add up. And not to mention all the vehicles that cost millions of dollars to buy. That doesn't even include upgrading or, making them actually usable. So while I see his point, I don't really technically agree with that. But he goes on to say, in addition to those regular large updates, we're always offering additional bonuses and discounts for players, which not only exposes them to fun new items and modes they may not have considered owning or playing, but it means that simply by jumping into the game in the weeks prior to an update, you can quickly earn enough cash to buy the items you want when the new update arrives. The vast bulk of our millions of players are playing their way to the items they need. Forcing people to buy regular updates the size of something like heist or gun running would almost certainly elicit similar pushback to the criticism we received for the way GTA Online works, and would definitely not have given us the ability to deliver content at this level of quality to millions of players in the same way. So again, is he right here? Absolutely. Rockstar offer bonuses and discounts and stuff like that, but I still think the items are way overpriced, and it never really explains the inflation that's gone on from the start of Grand Theft Auto Online 2013, 2014, all the way to 2016 and now 2017. Now, the final question is pretty interesting too. It was, how much longer do you plan to add new expansions and updates to GTA Online? Will this live on in tandem with Red Dead Redemption 2 when it launches next year? And he states, we don't have a fixed endpoint in mind, but the rollout of updates may change a little in order to encourage players to try Red Dead Redemption 2 when it launches. It would be great to have players splitting time between two incredible worlds, but we shall see how things evolve. One of the enjoyable things about working on a project like this is that you can iterate quickly and change and evolve plans fairly quickly too. So we don't have to be as clear in our plans as with other projects. So basically, Rockstar doesn't really have an end for online updates. They could continue whenever, but he does state that they will change or might change in order to encourage players to try Red Dead Redemption 2. So what I think that means is there's going to be a lack of updates around the time when RDR2 launches. Thus, it will encourage players to obviously play that game as compared to online. Rockstar obviously wouldn't launch a massive update right when Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out because they obviously want people to play their game. But they also see people splitting time between the two worlds, Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto Online. But anyways, that right there is the article. As always, I'll leave a link to it in the description. There were a couple things I left out, like he talks about what are some of the cool things people are doing, or, what are his favorite game modes. And I didn't really think that was necessary to talk about in this video, but I will leave the article in the description if you want to check it out for yourself and you want to have a deeper dive into it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions and more about it, though, in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go and enjoy this video, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.